always gonna be going in favor of the Protoss. But let's stop fury crafting and let's see how these two players will approach the series, because we're starting off here with the first map of the series. We're on Jagannafa set number 1 for the second series of today. In the top right hand corner, Alpha X very own player is spawning. Make some noise for our very own ZOUN.
And spawning here at the bottom left, he's the red Zerg player representing Jinair Green Wings. Give it up for Rogue.
Well, ZOUN has been sending the first, like, not even the first probe he produced. Like, he's been sending a probe out immediately as the game started, just to block this natural. And we've been talking about that before, but it's good to see this back. This is very good for those players. Do this. Stop your Zerg opponents from dropping down an early natural and make them drop it in the fur. It just goes a long way into making them very annoyed.
Yeah, now, of course, it does slow down the economy of ZOUN just a tad a bit, but it does actually slow down the Zerg up even more, because every drone that has to transfer to that second base is going to have to travel some amount of distance, and that kind of adds up over time compared to only one probe, not mining a little bit in the early game.
And it's also harder to maneuver units, because you can make them move on creep, especially queens. You cannot really just like send a queen from your main into your third, because you have to have a lot of creep. And on a map which is kind of very wide, such as Jagannath at least, makes it even a bigger difference.
Yeah, and keep in mind that the first adept that goes out for ZOUN can potentially snipe off some transferring drones, so yeah, that's always a plus. Oh, okay.
Whoa.
This time around, yeah, Robo.
Yeah, that is It's now gonna be some War Prism stuff, of course. Like, you don't make a robot to just send immortals through the map. This map is insanely long. Like, it takes so much time to send units through the map. But a War Prism, I can dig it. Let's see. Oh yeah, ZOUN snipes one drone, transferring as you were saying, and just gets some important amount of scouting. Checking there is no lair, and then going back, maybe checking the drone count. I don't think he will do that. It's gonna be dropped down that robotic spade, and it's probably going down into the disruptor drop build.
Yeah, like I said, ZOUN has been really liking that disruptor play against Zerg players these days, and it was pretty impressive to see him execute it in GSL. And also, I would imagine it's a pretty fun play style for Protoss. At least certain Protosses that likes to micro their War Prism, shoot those disruptors and then just like fly away with him.
It's a very tough way to play, really. It just requires you to deal some damage, because otherwise you're gonna be way too behind. It's just a very committed kind of build. But with War Prism being this fast, like, there is very little way of you not dealing damage. That Overlord cannot find Sanctuary. War Prism.
Maybe. Oh no, never mind.
One shot there, one shot on the other side. Yeah, it's just the moves of Rogue with that Overlord.
So funny. These guys are just like, he just really wants to kill that Overlord, but I think that Overlord will stay alive.
The War Prism was just like, I'm done with it. Let me go into real business. There's already a couple of roaches out. There are some spore crawlers coming as well. Rogue surely has some idea about what is about to hit him. With this Overlord scouting and this War Prism being this fast, I think it now has the certainty about what's about to get here, and Disruption Nova will hit a couple of roaches before getting back into the War Prism. There's a lair incoming. Rogue is getting a couple of defensive units, but I think he will be safely droning it up, getting a 4th base maybe, while ZOUN transitions into his mid game as well.
Yeah, adding that Twilight Council of the Forge, gonna get the upgrade. He is continuously making those disruptors still. But oh, nice shot there. Gets 5 drones.
Yeah, that was kind of nice. That's one way to get some leverage into this game, get some map control, and slow down the Zerg by quite a bit. Oh, the Hero Overlord finally died, by the way, by the hands of Sentries, which is not the most honorable way to die. Yeah, this Disruption Nova will not deal a ton of damage. Disruptor will be very hurt. But the Disruptor count is kind of rising. There's already 2 out. A 3rd one is in the making. A bunch of gateways are gonna be dropped as well. And ZOUN looks safely in control of his own side of the map. I don't see many ways in which Rogue can break him down at this point. So I don't see Rogue being the aggressor anytime soon.
Yeah, I think he's still like kind of worried about that Disruptor drop.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far I think both players. Just nearly get that off.
I think it was a good catch. Cancel that Disruption Nova. The Disruptor would have been very hurt, if not dead, out of that. So no real reason to go for that. And there's an instant lair, hive. Like, this is the earliest moment in which you can get a hive in this matchup at all. Like, you cannot get any earlier than that.
All right, looks like ZOUN is going to go ahead and prepare for a move. It's kind of lining up with his upgrade really well, this +1 weapon attack.
Yep. And these are so many cost-efficient units. These Hulkers are going to be a huge mid shield. Guardian Shield gets used from a Sentry to help out with the defense of those units. And Disruptors are just kind of keeping everything back. These Disruptors are heading way too forward. One Disruption Nova will not hit due to the Disruptor dying. Here comes the Corrosive Pulse dropping down on the army of ZOUN, trying to dodge left and right, but the Disruptors are gonna fall. Rogue is gonna get a huge fight getting those those Immortals as well. And the army of ZOUN has been annihilated by Rogue. Just some insanely good macro over there. It was almost as if I was looking at a Warcraft 3 game.
Yeah.
Rogue so clean.
And that was such a beautiful surround there. That sandwich was just absolutely what Rogue wanted against that attack.
Yeah, making great use of that acceleration zone to make these units place at the right spots. And now his army is just way too strong. I don't see ZOUN do anything against it. Doesn't have those miraculous disruptor shots he's been getting famous for. These Stalkers are trying to blink back into safety. Here comes the Corrosive Pulse. Zerglings are not really getting into the action, but there's still so many Roaches, so many Ravagers. He needs to back off as of now. There's not enough units to break through, and the reinforcements cannot get anywhere close. Disruption Nova will not hit too many units, but Rogue still can break through. He's getting Vipers out, he's getting those Lurkers. It's going to be so important. But in the end, ZOUN barely holds, just due to the map being way too long for Rogue to just kill him right here and right now.
Oh, nice disruptor hits. He's gonna need these kind of small wins because he is quite behind there on the supply. The crazy and scary thing is that, oh man, that's a lot of lurkers that Rogue has, and I don't think ZOUN has a lot of answer for those.
Yeah, just the fact that you need 2 Novas to actually kill a lurker already just makes it so hard to deal with them. Stalkers are trying to make their way into the Zergling mid shield. that Rogue is sending through. But right now, here comes the Roaches and Ravagers, not really finding themselves on the right side of the wall. It's still not gonna be a great fight for neither of those players. But Rogue can replace his army quickly enough. That's a huge Nova, getting so many Roaches, but the Lurkers are already sieged down at the edge of this turf, getting so much damage on top of the Nexus. It will need it to be cancelled. These Raptors are making their way to drop the Novas onto the Lurkers. One of the Lurkers goes down, but it's not gonna be enough as of now. He needs way more of those to actually kill his opponent's Stalkers. Gonna get one more Lurker before heading off. The Nexus was not cancelled, but these shield batteries will need to use all of their energy to keep that alive. Here comes the Vipers, abducting those Disruptors in the mid of the army of Rogue, going even more forward. That's not many units. Here comes the Zealots to deal with this, but that's so many Lurkers being sieged down over here. Disruption Nova will get a good hit, but it doesn't look like it's gonna be enough. 3 Disruptors dead in an instant due to those Vipers. And this base is not gonna survive a lot if the Lurkers get anywhere close to that. The Zerglings are getting into business as well, and the Nexus goes down. Lurkers are getting even more forward, leapfrogged by Rogue. The army of ZOUN is now growing, and Rogue will just get game 1 with a very good Lurker play.
All right, well done there by Rogue. Just a pretty solid ZVP there by Rogue. Of course, ZOUN with a different playstyle, like we mentioned earlier. Didn't go for that Stargate play, went for the Robo play. Just didn't quite get enough value from those initial Disruptors, I think, to pay off for going for that going for that tech. And he was just playing behind throughout that whole game.
That fight was looking very promising from him. The fight that actually lost him the game, it was looking very promising. Like, he had a ton of units. He was looking like he was in a good position. But then Rogue just came from every single side. Like, that army was just trashed by Rogue in an instant. It was such an incredible fight. He lost so few units as well. Like, Rogue probably lost, I don't know, I think about 10 supply in that fight. That was just crazy. And in the end, ZOUN was just struggling too much. And even a slow push with Lurkers, even not efficient trades from Rogue, just won in the game, straight up.
Yeah, coming from those two sides, that means that the Disruptors can't really hit as much clump up units, because there's less units on one side, and it forces the Protoss to have to decide: do I shoot the Disruptor ball to the right, to the left, to the south side, to the north side? It kind of mitigates kind of that splash damage that the Disruptor provides for the Protoss.
It was also able to snipe down, I think, 2 Disruptors almost immediately, and then the third one was just a little bit off position, caught in between the different sides of Zergs clashing on him, and it just got these Disruptors out immediately. That was a very good clearing from Rogue. But let's get into introductions for our second set of this best of 5 series. We're on Oxide in the top right hand corner specifically, where the blue Protoss is spawning, playing for Alpha X. It is the rising young star of Korean StarCraft. It is ZOUN.
And spawning here at the bottom left corner of the map, you see red Zerg player hailing from Korea, representing generic Green Wings. It is Rogue. All right, we do see that.
I really want to see ZOUN step up his game.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't look quite solid in that last game. It seemed like it was like Rogue advantage throughout that whole entire game, and I think it might have to do again with the build order, but also ZOUN just didn't execute it right. He fought in a really wide open area, which is basically a no-no against Zergs, because you want to fight more in kind of a tighter area where you can force field or get less of us around. And so, yeah, he kind of just botched that big attack
It wasn't really looking clean, most of all. Like, his disruption novas, his army positioning, it wasn't looking like the best ZOUN. So I'm curious to see how he will deal with his opponent here on Oxide. Deceptively short map, rush distance is very short. So we can see some of ZOUN's different playstyles work a little bit better here, just due to how he likes to play the game. But kind of the same can be said about Rogue, so let's see. We have a Robo opener again.
Yeah, I think it might be the same build, because usually if it's a Glaive Adept timing build or of some sort, maybe DTs, you would go for the Twilight first, but he did go for a Robo initially and has yet to go down that Twilight Council.
It's still a very solid build. It kind of didn't work out good enough, but it gains you so much map control. It forces the Zerg player to play a little bit defensively, so kind of works out very well. This Adept from ZOUN will not get too much. The drone will fall down, but the scouting information is everything that counts. And we see the Warp Prism and the Robo Bay being dropped. So overall, we can be quite sure ZOUN is going for the Disruptor drop once again.
Yeah, I think he's going to cross his fingers and hope that it works out a lot better this time around. Now, it's going to be important for Rogue to make sure he kind of spreads his overlords to the sides to make sure that he has eyes and vision on that incoming Warp Prism, so he can kind of position his units correctly to, you know, get on top of that disruptor, because he doesn't want to just, you know, be surprised a Warp Prism coming out of the black shadows, and then there's a disruptor shoots and you don't have enough time to react to it. So that's not something that Rogue wants. So it's going to be really important for him to get as much vision as he can.
And ZOUN is also moving out with this Warp Prism and the Stalker inside of it, just trying to snipe down as many scouting Zerglings as possible, just to deny that vision you were talking about. So ZOUN is kind of forcing Rogue into his base. Denying him the vision of the Warp Prism can make it so much more efficient. Rogue manages to see where the Warp Prism is with this Zergling. He has one overload in quite a good position. So in the end, even the work ZOUN put into trying to stop the scouting from Rogue wasn't really working out in his favor, but this Disruptor can still hit a ton of drones. Here comes the first Nova, and he will hit 2 drones before heading off. Not the biggest of hits, but the first one kind of doesn't count, really.
Yeah, usually you'll see Protoss go for 2 disruptors into that War Prism, but I'm gonna go ahead and stick with just 1. And he might want to actually start making some Immortals or Disruptors, because there is a huge counterattack coming here for Rogue. He got a lot of Zerglings coming across the map. Oh my god, this might look so really ugly for ZOUN.
That was not a good disruption, and here comes the Biles trying to get this Disruptor. Disruptor is way out of position, getting smashed by the Zerglings. Rogue getting through every single defense that ZOUN has been putting up. These Sentry Force fields are working so much in the favor of the Protoss player. Rogue's army is spinning by the second, but there's still one pylon powering all of these buildings. These these Ravagers are not falling down, but the Zerglings are really not making a dent. And finally they make a dent. Here comes another Force field to stop them from coming through. The Sabanetti core is not powered right now. Here comes finally another pylon powering up all the structures. There's no more force fields. The Zerglings get through, and these Ravagers are still not dying. There is one Immortal trying to deal with everything else. The Zealots are there to deal with the Zerglings. Ravagers still piling down stuff, still getting kills, but not breaking through enough. This third Nexus of ZOUN is in real danger right now, but the Protoss player is heading out of his own main base to try and deal with this Zerg army. Rogue tried to play the timing attack card, and he's really working out very well. Not a lot of force fields to deal with those Zerglings. Zerglings getting rounds left and right. There's no more Immortals coming from ZOUN as of now. There's one Disruptor, but this Immortal is gonna get himself surrounded, and that's not gonna be a great way. Disruptor will try to get a hit, will get one Ravager, but the third Nexus is going to go down.
Oh, you have to wonder, was it wise for him to move his units to try to save that third? Would it have been better to just sack that third? I mean, he was ahead in workers, right, at that point. Of course, you don't want to lose that third base, but I think in that scenario where you just don't have quite enough units and a lot of links coming across the map, I think it would have been wiser to just let that third base go.
That hold was very much impressive from ZOUN, but he still will be behind in economy after losing that third. And losing so many units doesn't really allow him to go for a strong counterattack. He's still building one. He's still trying to get that counterattack, but he kind of needs a little bit more units, to be honest. There are two Disruptors. Two Disruptors in a Warp Prism can deal so much damage if ZOUN gets those miraculous shots he needs. The game is basically reset right now. We see ZOUN though doesn't take a third, so he's kind of all leaning right now. I don't know if he really needs to. This is going to be a close one. Disruptors are trying to get some good hits. That's a ton of Ravagers out. Guardian Shield gets used by ZOUN to try and stop those Ravagers from doing too much damage. Buzz raining down from left and right. And more units are gonna be issued from this Warp Prism. The Disruptors are still up and standing. They can still drop down those Novas on top of the Ravagers, making them stay away. This third base is in real danger for Rogue. He's been replacing his army one after the other, but so many drones are dying for the Zerg player. These piles are dealing so much damage. One Disruptor is under attack right now. He kind of gets back into safety. There's many more Zerg units coming out right now. The drones being used into the battle as well, and ZOUN is crumbling under the shots of this Zerg player. Ravagers are falling. That was a very good Nova, but in the end, he's gonna still be GG. Impressive attack, but Rogue is just too much.
Oh man, Rogue is showing everyone here why he is #1 in the Korea EPT rankings. He's just a strong defensive and offensive player. That time around that game, he showed, his strong, aggressive, a push. It broke the basically the third base, and then of course, as the game progressed and ZOUN was going for that, I guess last-ditch effort counterattack. Rogue showing what a great defensive player, as he microed against the Disruptor pretty well.
Yeah, it was a very impressive fight, the last one. I kind of didn't like how he approached to his own timing attack. I feel like he was way too eager to deal damage. Those Ravagers not dying really worked out in his favor, but in the end, the hold from ZOUN was just so good. He didn't lose any key unit into that. I think he lost one Disruptor, which is of course a key unit, but that's the only unit he lost. But then when he decided to move out after the hold, he was just losing too many units that he wasn't supposed to lose. There was no way Rogue was going to be able to break through after that. So leaving that third base, as you were saying, to die and just build up a strong counter would have been probably the good play. And imagine ZOUN having those units he lost there into the counter. That would have been a different counter attack.
Yeah, for sure. But now, we're heading into game number 3 with Rogue leading 2-0, which means one game away from clinching the series. Now, we did see a 3-0 in the first semifinals. Will we see another 2 or 3-0 for Rogue in this series? We're going to head into game 3 on Lightshade LE.
And this guy in the top left-hand side surely doesn't want this series to go that way. He wants to break out his pocket build. He wants to break out of this score. He wants that reverse sweep, playing for Alpha X. It is ZOUN.
And spawning here at the bottom right, from a generic Green Wings, is the red Zerg player, Make some noise for Rogue.
Once again, archery gets blocked, dropped into the third. But this is light shade. This is an abysmal distance between main and third. So not gonna be the biggest of deals.
Now it's going to be interesting because ZOUN has gone for the same disruptor builds for the past 2 games, and it has not worked out for him. I mean, what would you like ZOUN to go for? Do you think he should go for the same build and try to make it work somehow, or do you think he should change it up and go for a different type of build?
Every single opener from Rogue so far was looking a little bit too strong against some kind of a death play, so I don't really want ZOUN to go for any of that. I would like him not to go for Stargate as well. So how about some good old Archon drop? Safe, it gets you into the mid game easily, it can deal damage, but we've seen ZOUN being very good against timing attacks with the hold yet. So why don't you try to go for that macro opener, getting those Archons out, and then transition maybe into some kind of Storm, Immortal, Chartlot, and Archons as well. Just the good old standard PvZ style.
Yeah, I actually like that. I think maybe going for some Dark Trine DT drops. See if the DTs get any damage done. If not, just turn them into Archons and go for that double Archon like you said. And then yeah, just go into the mid game and go for maybe a timing attack. I think ZOUN has historically been best when he goes for those big huge engagements and those counterattacks rather than going for the super late game, going for a turtley style. I think he kind of wins most of his games through either some aggressive timing attack, some big push, or with some nice counterattacks instead of going for playing like a Terran, just attacking from all sides. And because as we saw in that, I guess that game on, I believe, Jagannatha, he got surrounded pretty hard, and it just didn't seem like he executed that to the best of his abilities. But if he can just get into the mid game, not lose a lot of workers and establish a nice kind of Protoss ball, I think he should be okay.
Sadly for us, he's not going to go for some easy transition into the mid game. Once again, he wants that Robo Bay, he wants that Disruptor drop to deal damage. We're on a short map again, so he can get there quite a little bit faster. But Rogue looks like he has this quite figured. He certainly did his homeworks. Like, he's playing this series, like, he's very well prepared. This looks like a Renovate GSL series in which one player is a little bit too prepared for the style the other player likes to play.
Yeah, now the thing is, he has kind of executed this build a little bit differently than I've seen him in the past. Yeah. Because I haven't seen a Colossus transition from ZOUN yet, and usually in the past, especially in GSL, he did pull out the same build but added a Colossus follow-up and attacked with one Colossus, a bunch of Blink Stalkers. But I haven't seen that. He only stuck with Disruptors and a bunch of Blink Stalkers and just no other tech. So I would love him to see him kind of add in a Colossus or 2 or 3 and go for a big push once this Disruptor harassment has commenced.
Here comes the first Nova. He's gonna hit a couple drones again, but ZOUN got some huge scouting information, getting this lair in his sight, and knowing that he was started before the 5-minute mark. This is still going to be way too early though. This is a very early lair. It doesn't really point in too many directions. It could be a Roach timing or a Swarmos play, and ZOUN has a transition up. That's a quick Spire, which was another of the possible directions. But the free Stargate follow-up from ZOUN, this is new, and I like it so much.
Yeah, wait, did he get eyes on that Spire though?
I don't think he did. He doesn't.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's just a blind counter because that 3 Stargate is going to work really, really well against that Spire play.
Yeah, definitely. Don't know if that is going to be some kind of Void Ray play, like we've seen in the past. This Disrupted drop is not doing anything, but it is getting map control, which is still important. Still forcing Rogue behind, still forcing him to make units. There's 2 Void Rays in the making, and Roaches, they do not really shine against Void Rays. Neither do Corruptors. Mutas, though, Mutas kind of do the trick.
You know, surprisingly, I think, you know, if you can have like mass amount of Mutalisks compared to the ratio of the Void Ray, yeah, it does pretty well. But if they're relatively even in terms of Mutalisks versus Void Ray count, surprisingly, actually Void Rays actually do really well against Mutalisks. You wouldn't expect it because, you know, the Mutalisk does do splash damage, but I mean, in the past experience and also from watching past games, mass Void Rays can actually, you know, hold its own against mass Mutalisks.
ZOUN on 3 bases, quite uncontested, has been getting to a pretty large amount of workers, sitting at 68 right now, producing quite effortlessly those 3 Void Rays at a time he needs. There's coming also 1 Phoenix. Maybe he smells Mutas in the air. Phoenixes are going to be very helpful against those. The first Mutas are about to hit, and already a couple of Void Rays are waiting for them. Mutas cannot get too close. And yeah, that's a bit like the Spider-Man meme, in which one Spider-Man points at the other Spider-Man. Like, oh, you went for egg units? I went for egg units too.
Yeah.
Psych. But that's a huge attack coming from Rogue, dropping down at his third base. A bunch of Stalkers and Adepts are falling alive. This Warp Prism is in danger. The Disruptor dies with it as well. And the Phoenixes and the Void Rays are a little bit too late to the party. It's still going to be a hold very convincingly from ZOUN. But losing that Warp Prism and the Disruptor kind of hurts. Oh wait, the Disruptor is alive. Where is it? Oh, it's in the natural. But yeah, in the end, Rogue still able to deal some damage, sending more units through. This Disruptor is in a very, very bad spot. He's still gonna be able to kill so many Zerglings. That was huge. Phoenixes are now fighting with the Mutas, and that is not going to go in the Zerg favor. Void Rays getting into the fight as well. That's so many Mutas though. Getting turned on top of the Void Rays, getting easy kills. Many more Mutas are coming to deal with the air army of ZOUN. Phoenixes doing their best to micro against them, and look at them go. Even just a couple Phoenixes can deal so easily with Mutas. This is still going to be a huge, huge fight here and the natural of ZOUN. Here comes the rest of the Void Rays. The Guardian Shield is gonna help a ton against those Mutas, and Phoenixes are just getting them one by one. Zerglings are breaking through, but those Zealots are really holding the line for ZOUN. And look at the supply. Finally, ZOUN has been able to drop even in that supply just before Rogue decided to make 20 Hydras. But these Mutas are not doing anything, and that's a lot of wasted time and resources for Rogue. In the end, ZOUN keeps his huge huge work account, and still able to make many units out of those targets. He has a ton of Phoenixes though, and Phoenixes cannot really fight against those Hydras well. He needs Storm, and he's dropping the Templar Archives for that. Charge is done as well, and now he's pushing on Creep.
Oh, I don't think he should go any further in, because those Hydralisks, I mean, let's see how many Hydralisks is that. 26 Hydralisks on the field, and there is no Storm out yet for ZOUN. I'm not sure this is a smart move to go in.
This has been such a chess game from both players. Here comes a huge engagement. ZOUN charges on top of those Hydras. The Warp Prism almost dies to the Mutas. Mutas making themselves useful again. And goodbye, Warp Prism. This is an army that needs to walk all the way back. And Rogue gets so much time with just those couple Mutas finally making their expense worth it. Rogue pushing out a creep. Muscular Augments is on the way for those Hydras to become a little bit quicker. And Storm is still a long way before being done. He doesn't even need Banelings as of now. These Phoenixes need to lift so many Hydras to make this fight go in favor of ZOUN. He needs to buy time, and I'm not too sure how he can do that. He needs more time. He needs more zealots. The Hydras are collapsing here at the third base of ZOUN. So many Hydras, so much DPS. His shield body overcharge is doing its best. Zealots trying to sandwich those Hydras. Phoenix is trying to lift as many as possible, but the Phoenixes are falling one after the other. Storm a second from being done. 4, 3, 2, 1, and here they come. The Zerg player needs to back off as of now. These Storms getting wonderful damage on top of the Zerg army, but ZOUN is already a little bit too thinned out. Archons are in the making, but these Hydras are still alive. More Zealots are needed, but these Archons will probably never see the light of day. Rogue still pushing into the third. There's not much more Protoss, and that's a GG from ZOUN.